Um, I'm a little late to this video because last week was hectic, to say the least. But in this video, I want to discuss drumlines in Queensland. So I've spoken about drumlines previously, a separate video. So this one, I'm mainly just going to go into the stupidity of Queensland and its fisheries management. But yeah, so what's happening here is that Queensland fisheries management think that drumlines and shark nets are a perfect measure for their shark control program, when in spoiler alert actuality it's not really. It's more so the infrastructure around the area and the fact that we can get paramedics on scene quite quickly to prevent any form of fatalities thus far. I've spoken about the previous measures, New South Wales and Western Australia, they've got smart drum lines. Queensland, on the other hand, we have ADANI. So yeah, the fisheries management, Dave Kelly, that one, has basically said that Queensland is going to maintain shark nets and drum lines until there's a better alternative. Okay, so here's what's happening down under. Queensland fisheries the Queensland government actually are offering $17.1 million worth of funding over a 4-year period to the Queensland Shark Control Program, or QSCP, to determine alternatives to the archaic drum lining and shark netting methods we have today. Now, of that $17.1 million, $1 million per year is going into research on new technologies. Now, notice how in that sentence there's nothing about non-lethal specificity. So, $1 million. It's not a lot. Now, that may seem greedy, or that may seem, I guess, ungrateful of me to say, $1 million in the grand scheme of things, it's a fair amount of money. But to research, not a lot of money. See, research in how we can protect our beaches or our, I guess, swimmers from potential shark attacks is where all the research is. So the research is the backbone of everything in this area. Without the research, there's no new technology. So maybe bump up those numbers a little bit. $1 million is not going to get you very far if you want to get rid of these crappy methods we have today. Furthermore, the QSCP budget says nowhere about minimizing bycatch of dolphins, whales, non-target species sharks, turtles, other fish, manta rays, or just any type of ray. It says nowhere that they're going to try and minimize this. It just says new technologies. Now, that may be implied, but it'd be better if they just said it themselves. So how effective are drum lines and shark nets in protecting our beaches from potential shark attacks? Not very. So let me break it down for you. Drum lines, or actually shark nets, start with shark nets, sit roughly 4 meters below, or 4 to 6 meters below sea level, and don't necessarily touch the bottom. See the issue? Okay, so there's that. Drum lines sit past or just before the nets. The nets don't actually cover the entire beach either. Yeah, see, it just seems like a waste of time, if you ask me. The nets and the drumlines live by the theory that less sharks, less encounters, which means that the drumlines and the shark nets are there to increase mortality rates of sharks. So no matter what they're saying, they're just culling the sharks because that just means that there's going to be less shark attacks. Newsflash, that's not how it works. So the long-standing statistic is that there's been one fatality since the implementation of drumlines and shark nets along the coast of Queensland. Now the one thing they failed to mention is that a lot of people like to live along the coast, which means that a lot of the infrastructure has become way more advanced, which means that paramedics or police or the fire department, any type of emergency service is able to get to their destination a lot faster than previously. Which means that, I just said which means like 4 times in a row. They're able to get to the area faster, which means that there's little to no fatality. Now, let's not forget the amount of bycatch that shark nets and drumlines seem to be producing. There's no way for this type of practice to target specific shark species. What's happening here is that a lot of endangered or vulnerable species are being killed. And a lot of these species are protected by, wouldn't you know it, the government's own environmental law of protecting endangered and vulnerable species. Now, that's a pretty big contradiction, don't you think, that the own Queensland government has put out an Environmental Protection Act on species that are listed as vulnerable or endangered. There have been a few fisheries ministers stating that human lives are paramount to sharks. Perhaps. Understandable. But let me riddle you this. What do you think is going to happen if we completely eradicate an apex predator from such a delicate environment? If you answered, we'd probably all die. Bingo, you'd be correct. Let me break it down for you. Coral reefs would disappear. The ocean would suffocate. Global warming and climate change would get a speed boost. The economy would collapse. So yeah, let's continue culling sharks. What a great idea. You're doing great, Queensland. Now, even though Queensland can't seem to get it straight, that doesn't account for all of Australia. Western Australia and New South Wales are taking the lead in implementing new non-lethal technologies into preventing or mitigating any form of shark attack along the coastlines. How they're doing this, I've explained in a previous video. Smart drumlines. These smart drumlines stand for Shark Management Alert in Real Time. And what they do is on these drumlines, they've got 1, a camera, 2, GPS tracking, and 3, an alert system. They send out a signal when anything has taken the bait or anything's hooked onto the line. Once that happens, a team of people rush out to the location, grab whatever on the line, tag it if it is the targeted shark species. If not, they catch and release. Simple. Ever since its implementation, there have been very few mortalities, very little mortality, and if there is a mortality, it's usually because it needs to be killed. The unfortunate scenario. And shark attacks haven't really changed. So that kind of shows you that the archaic method that we are actually using today with drumlines in Queensland is pointless. Now, the reason why a lot of the fisheries don't want to implement this smart drumline is one, money. Two, you can't really set up these drum lines out in high swells because they have to take them back during night time and place them back out throughout the day and monitor throughout the day and catch and release throughout the day. So if there are high swells, that makes it quite difficult. These same fisheries ministers are also saying that human safety is paramount to a shark's life. So there's the contradictions right there. Human safety above all else, but then they start whinging when they're not putting in the effort to go out in high swells and risk everyone's lives. Yeah, I don't know, it's a weird scenario. What we need to do is find technology that has non-lethal methods in catching and releasing sharks, or even moving them to a different location, which is in itself such a pointless scenario because the ocean, everything's connected. A shark's not just going to go, oh wait, yeah, I can't go in this area because there are humans swimming about, flailing their bodies through here. So even though this is my migratory pattern, I think I should just deviate and go something. That doesn't work like that, okay? You're in their home, alright? You're in their habitat. Pay respects. Read the signs. If there are sharks in the water, or if there's been a shark spotted, you know, you're likely to encounter another one. Don't swim at dawn or dusk. A lot of people do. Why? And yeah, stay safe in the water when there's other stuff that you should be worrying about other than sharks. That's that video. That's all done. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you subscribe down below, either side, whatever side it is. Make sure you educate. Don't eradicate like the Queensland government is doing. Bam! And I will see you guys in another video. Catch you later. Oh yeah, check out Cape Clasp. They've got sharks on there too. Make sure you support them. Bye!